Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some MATHMECH, with some new tech and new cards for this current meta. I gotta talk about that here in a second, but real quick before we get started, I want to real quick shout out my second YouTube channel, HexLexPlays. It's youtube.com/@HexLexPlays or link in the description below. That's the channel I'm really trying to focus on growing right now. I've been posting a lot of Alestrals content over there as I've been getting huge into that game lately. So if you're at all curious or interested in Alestrals, definitely go ahead and check out this second channel. But I have more than just that over there. It is kind of a variety channel too. I actually have a lot of our VODs from past live streams over on the channel. I archive those over there. So if you're interested in checking any of those out, definitely head over there. Also have some other random stuff I've done, like I played the Pokemon TCG game for Game Boy Color a little bit over there too. So again, HexLexPlays, really would appreciate it if you all go check that out, especially again if you're into Alestrals. Definitely go ahead and check it out. But anyway, moving on to MATHMECH here. So DPH Gendamore is a card that came out in the latest selection pack that is a new release that has a pretty natural fit into the MATHMECH deck, right? It's a level 8 Synchro Tuner with 2000 attack and 2800 defense. That's as generic material requirements. It says, if this card is Synchro Summoned, special summon a level 4 Cyberus monster from your graveyard in defense position, but negate its effects. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn except Cyberus monsters. When your Cyberus monster battles an opponent's monster and inflicts battle damage to them, you can banish this card from your graveyard and inflict that much damage to your opponent. So, yeah, that's a pretty obvious inclusion. I feel like it should be in the MATHMECH deck, right? Not only can you use this to very easily make the GeoMATHMECH Final Sigma and then use the graveyard effect to set up an OTK with it, but you can also just use Terahertz to send this from the extra deck to the graveyard and then still use the graveyard effect, right, to potentially set up an OTK. So the other new thing that we're doing in this build that we haven't been doing lately, although we have in the past, is Gachiri Adagnister. We are attacking one of these again, and I might actually even go so far as to play multiple copies in future builds. The reason for that is because Gachiri on Terahertz is fantastic in this meta. Terahertz in general is great for countering the Tenpai meta, and why you should absolutely not sleep on MATHMECH at all. I saw some people in our tier list videos saying MATHMECH is a tier 3 deck. That is wrong, absolutely incorrect in my opinion. And I've definitely seen other people like Joshua Schmidt also place MATHMECH rather highly in their tier list because of the Terahertz first effect here. Negate any monster effects activated by your opponent during the battle phase is a huge and very natural counter to Tenpai. Now, of course, Tenpai does play a lot of board breakers and ways to out the Terahertz during the main phase as well, which is again the importance of Gachiri Adagnister. You see, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target a face-up monster you control. That target is unaffected by your opponent's card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. So basically, if you use Gachiri Adagnister's last effect on a Terahertz, then it is completely unaffected by their effects, and of course it will still negate any of their monster effects activated during the battle phase. That's basically a kind of guaranteed way to out the Tenpai deck as a whole. So definitely do not be sleeping on MATHMECH, because it feels like some of you are out there. I do have this to say about particularly the MATHMECH Final Sigma, because that's another thing that a lot of people have asked me about MATHMECH in my past builds, is like, why are you not playing Final Sigma? It's another way to OTK, don't you want that? The answer is actually kind of no, because, like, honestly, Terahertz and the Update Jammer access code, like, that's enough. Like, I gotta be real with you, Terahertz is enough to OTK by itself in, like, 80 to 85% of your wins, right? It's only sometimes that you then need to go into Update Jammer access code. So not only do we really not need another way to OTK, but the Final Sigma is the most, like, obtuse way to do it. It's like, you have to be synchroing, you have to have access to the multiplication to double the attack, you have to have an opponent's monster on the field to battle with only so many attack points in order to be able to pull it off. So my thought process was, okay, DPH Gendamore makes the Final Sigma OTK so much easier to pull off, right? In terms of setting it up with the effect and the synchro body, and also in terms of the graveyard effect. I really tried to make it work, y'all, and I'm finally ready to say, Final Sigma is ass. Do not play this in MATHMECH. Even with the release of DPH Gendamore, this OTK line, it just never, like, it never even really came up for me. Any situation in which I could OTK with Final Sigma, I could do it so much more easily with terahertz. Not having to jump through all the hoops of, like, setting up, you know, the specific board state required, having to have multiplication as well. Like, because, like, the thing with multiplication is that you have to have access to it, like, to OTK with Final Sigma, but terahertz can at least just dump multiplication from the deck to the graveyard, right? So, like, I gotta level with you, like, this is, okay, I know I just said Final Sigma was ass. It's ass in MATHMECH. I think overall, in general, if this OTK line were available for a weaker or even just different deck, like, they would gladly take it. But again, MATHMECH is already eating so well when it comes to the ability to OTK the opponent that this is, like, it's obtuse, it's unnecessary, it's not optimal. Even with DPH Jindamore, I am not going to be playing Final Sigma in MATHMECH moving forward, and I cannot in good conscience suggest that you play Final Sigma in MATHMECH moving forward. I don't think it's good, I really just don't. I think, that said, I think I will actually try Jindamore a little more. And that might seem a little weird to you because you're like, what isn't this just OTK with Final Sigma? But, as I touched upon earlier, you can just send this to the graveyard with the terahertz, and then use the graveyard effect to OTK that way, right? And in that regard, we might not even have to play multiplication in the main deck anymore. Multiplication has always been the most awkward card in the main deck by far, simply because it does not work with small world bridges. You know, the Maxi, they share both Earth and 500 attack, so it doesn't work with that. It's level 4 and a cyber, so it doesn't bridge with any of the other MATHMECHs. It's just, it's really awkward. And it's not, yeah, like I said, it's not useful for small world bridging in the slightest. You never want to open this card, but it feels like this card is glued to your opening hand. That's really subjective, but yeah, this is like the only card I would consider to be a Garnet in this deck, like at all. And for a deck that's maining 3 small world, that's pretty brilliant to be able to have a main deck that only has 1 Garnet. But again, our Garnet doesn't even work with small world. Our Garnet is just so we can OTK. But as I just touched upon, thanks to Jindamore, we might not need our main deck Garnet to OTK. So I think moving forward, Final Sigma is absolutely getting cut. No question in my mind. I'm never playing, not about never, but I see no reason to play this card currently in MATHMECH at all. And I think maybe what I'll do is I'll take out multiplication and try out the second Gachiri at Ignister. That would be my suggestions for the build moving forward. Oh, the other thing about the extra deck here too, in order to make room for Final Sigma, I had to cut Almirage, which is not ideal. You should probably not do that, because I had at least two different games I can remember off the top of my head that I lost because I opened like Hand Trap plus Parallel Exceed or Hand Trap plus Subtraction, and I was like, oh, well, if I was playing Almirage, I could win, but now I just can't. But, like, to fit everything in this extra deck, the only other real options to cut were, like, Aggregator, which I probably should have just cut, or, like, Heat Soul, but Heat Soul is, we end on this so often that I don't think it's worth cutting. I probably should just cut Aggregator, but I think it's worth it to play Aggregator, D-Save, and Jindamore, because, like, these all serve different functions. Like, Jindamore, you're not going to be sending during your turn 1 or your opponent's turn 1, the second turn. You're going to send this on your follow-up turn for OTKing, so I think in the future I'd cut Final Sigma, replace it with Almirage, and then I would cut Multiplication and replace it with Gachiri. But anyway, yeah, so that's going to do it for the deck profile breakdown here. Let's go ahead and check out some of these replays. Alright, so we're going to start off with a game against Ice Barrier. I want to show a going second game, so we're going to start off with this one here. And let's see what we got. So, yeah, this is one of those hands that I was kind of talking about earlier, although here we do have the small world. I was talking about it in the sense of, like, yeah, if I had gone first and not opened a small world, you know, with Almirage, this would be a full turn 1 combo. Without it, this is literally just nothing. So, very glad that we're 1 going second and 2 opened small world here. So, I'm not going to Ash Blossom the Medallion. I generally don't think that's ever worth it to Ash like a straight up Rhoda type effect like that. I'm going to wait and see if I can get a better target later. So, opponent's going to normal summon Revealer. What do they pitch here? Medium? If your opponent controls 4 or more cards, you can do specialist card from your hand. You can only activate 1 spell or trap card each turn. That's an interesting kind of floodgate there. This must be their alternative to the Spellbreaker, but I feel like Spellbreaker is just much better. But anyway. yeah, we're easily going to Valor that Revealer there. They do have a call by, but thankfully we have the Imperm as well, so I'm just going to slap that down and negate that there. And even if they do have more follow-up in the form of, like, the normal spell or, like, a Foolish or something, we still have the Ash Blossom. Again, that's why we save the Ash Blossom. Well, here especially because we have so many hand traps. Like, we'll just negate whatever they Medallion for, right? So... Alright, drawing for turn, peeling Circular off the top of our deck like any good MATHMECH player would, so no real need to use the Small World just yet. Gonna Circular, pitch the Sigma. Opponent's got a Ghost Spell to stop the Sigma from coming back. A little bit annoying, but like even without the Small World, I love that animation by the way, even without the Small World, we're more than fine here. I'm simply gonna link off the Circular for Lingeribo, and then from there I can special summon the Parallel Exceed. Parallel Exceed will summon another copy, and our opponent's going to concede right here. So I thought that game, although a little bit short, was still a decent exchange of, you know, hand traps and disruptions and that kind of bit of a back and forth. Also just shows like one of MATHMECH's, I think, greatest strengths, which is to pick up their combo line immediately after almost any form of disruption with just about any given hand, right? Like here we're able to do it multiple ways, both with Parallel Exceed and a Small World. For those who are wondering how to OTK from here, by the way, it's actually quite simple. So Parallel Exceed would summon another copy. You can link off for Splash Mage. I mean, you would literally have more than enough bodies to like go Splash Mage, and then Splash Mage brings something back, go into Link Decoder plus Splash Mage into Transcode. Link Decoder comes back, Transcode brings back Splash Mage. There's Terahertz. You can then dump off for multiplication, and then we can battle over the attack mode Revealer, and we still have an extra body on the board. That's also not even optimally, you know, summoning all the bodies you can. Even if the Revealer or just their monster in general was in defense mode, then here you could have gone link the two Parallel Exceeds into Update Jammer plus Lingeribo into Transcode bring back Update Jammer, Transcode plus Update Jammer into Access Code F, pop the monster, and then boom, it can attack twice. So this is what I was talking about earlier and why Final Sigma is so unnecessary. Like, it is trivially easy to OTK in this deck. Like, adding a third very out of the way method of doing it is just so unbelievably unnecessary. Again, it's not bad. It's just, again, like I said, unbelievably unnecessary. Anyway, we have a few more games to watch. Let's check out the next one here. Okay, our next duel here is going to be up against Yubel. I was looking through my replays just now, and like, I don't really think I have that many satisfying games against Senpai here, actually. I only had one game from this session, but I didn't even get to summon Terahertz with Gachiri, so... Anyway, let's check out this game against Yubel. Like I said, we're going first here. Opening with the Firewall Defensor, but granted, that's all you need to full combo, right? So, going for the Lingeribo, activating Defensor, getting the Firewall Guardian. We're going to link off Guardian plus Lingeribo to go into the Splash Mage. I will say one thing I do miss in the extra deck too is a second Splash Mage. It was pretty huge. It came up a lot. It's not required by any means, but for playing through disruption, it can be very, very important. Or just playing on like follow-up turns after you get disrupted. Alright, so we're going to Allen Burschen for a Circular. This is how we go into our MATHMECH stuff. Could use Allen Burschen's effect. I guess I could have used Equation here, but if I can save it, I'd also like to do that ideally. Alright, this should be Link Decoder. Yep. And then going into the Transcode Talker. And then we should be set up here to end on not only Terahertz, but also the Heat Soul as well, to get those extra draws. Yeah, because Transcode brings back Splash Mage. Then we link everything but Splash Mage into Terahertz, and like I said, we have the Equation to be able to get that extra body. Here we need to use Terahertz to dump off the Diameter from our deck. Definitely make sure that you're doing that if you don't weave it in as part of your combo line. You'll often have to do that, especially if you open with something like Firewall Defensor and nothing else, but... it's really not that big of a deal. It just means that, like, you can't use Aggregator during your opponent's turn, which is fine because Aggregator doesn't even always come up. So, setting 3, passing over to our opponent, drawing that Valor off the Heat Soul, very, very nice. Always love to see the extra hand traps there. And then we got the Parallel Exceed for a follow-up turn, also pretty nice. Alright, opponent's leading with the Piri Reese map for the Samsara D Lotus, so... gonna go ahead and use the opening of the Spirit Gates to grab the Dark Beckoning Beast. One thing worth noting about that Samsara D Lotus, by the way, a pretty big weakness of Piri Reese map is that they can't activate the added monster's effects or effects of that card's name until they normal summon it. So the way I'm going to use my disruption here, if I recall correctly, is to try to stop them from being able to extra normal summon the Samsara D Lotus, right? I'm going to use the Veiler on the Dark Beckoning Beast here. Because again, if they can't extra normal summon the D Lotus, they're not going to be able to use it at all for their combo. So here they're going to go for Nightmare Pain. And they're going to chain Grave Squirmer to my chained Super Fact. Oh, I remember this, because here I was thinking, like, okay, should I Loplation to eat the Nightmare Pain or the Opening? Because I was like, okay, if I eat Opening, they can't bring back Beckoning Beast and the normal summon D Lotus. But if I don't eat Nightmare Pain, they might be able to do something scarier. So I ultimately decided to use Loplation to send the Nightmare Pain here, in addition to, of course, a card from hand as well as the Dark Beckoning Beast. Because I was like, if they go all in on discarding to bring back Beckoning Beast and then normal summon D Lotus, I have so many ways to counter that. That's so fine. Here they're actually just going to end on the Phantom of Yubel and then pass it over to me. Looks like they valued this set card more as a back row than pitching it for the opening of the Spirit Gates here. Because again, we know this last card is the D Lotus, right? So, alright, drawing for turn, getting a Cirque. Opponent's going to Phantom of Yubel, the Heat Soul draw, which I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That's completely fine. Are you kidding me? Spirit of Yubel is going to pop. Here, I'm going to chain the Terahertz. I actually didn't have to do this at all, but I'm going to chain the Terahertz to send to Aggregator because I know Yubel's coming down. Aggregator can just negate the Yubel here. I could have negated it with Imperm, or I didn't even have to send the Aggregator when I did. I could have just sent it whenever, but there you go. It's another, no, not another, because the last game was going second game, but this is a pretty good example of, like, a pretty typical MATHMECH turn 1 end board, honestly. Opening any starter plus any extender will end you on the Terahertz plus Heat Soul plus setup Super Factorial, and then, yeah, just using our disruption efficiently. And if you use it efficiently, you don't even have to use all of it. Like, we still the Imperm, we still the Cross Out, we never even used the Loplation Omni Negate, you know, it was like, this is just fine. It was so fine. So, alright, we got one more game we're going to check out. Let's finish off with that one. And our final game is going to be up against Phantom Knight. Very, very cool deck. Although, I don't know how much Phantom Knight stuff they actually do here. Because, like, I'm trying to remember this game. I don't remember playing against Phantom Knights. So they must not have gotten to do a whole lot here. Anyway, we're going first. Our hand is, like, fine, I guess. Like, we have a Defensor. We have plays, so I can't complain. But the rest of the hand is definitely not ideal. Well, except for the Maxi. We always like opening Maxi, but yeah, here, oh, that's right, this game, yeah, they're gonna Ash Blossom my Defensor. Oh, I remember this game now. Yeah, they Ash Blossom my Defensor, and unfortunately with a hand like this, like, I just have to stop there. And that's kind of one of the reasons why this hand, I didn't want to call it, like, good. Because to me, a good MATHMECH hand has at least one extender. That's how MATHMECH is so infamous for being able to play through hand traps, right? But we were not able to do it this time. That said, we do have a Maxi here. They're going to special the Terratop, and I was waiting for the Terratop effect to activate, but then it didn't. And then they just slammed down Takaton Borg, and I was like, well, alright, I guess I have to Maxi right now. And sure enough, they are just going to end up moving to battle phase here. So, in our last viewer special video, in yesterday's video, we talked about playing through Maxi. I think this is a situation where my opponent should have gone for it, right? Now, granted, it's really easy for me to say that, being able to see what's in my hand, but also thinking about it from a logistical perspective of the opponent, like, you know, what other opportunity are you going to get to OTK than now? Like, I guess maybe they thought that if they passed over to me, I wouldn't have plays, because Ash was enough to stop me last turn. But, I think we should have gone for it here, personally. Getting that call by is a pretty nice draw. Gonna normal summon another Firewall Defensor. And then try to go for the Link Decoder here, because I already used Link Garibo. So, we're gonna have to combo without Link Decoder here. Getting the Guardian here, linking off Link Decoder plus Guardian in order to make the Splash Mage. Although, once again, from here, it's trivially easy to combo, right? Or to OTK, rather. Like, one way in which I could do it right now... I mean, again, we have the setup for both Terahertz and the access code, right? If I wanted to update Jammer access code for some reason, even though you don't have to in this board state at all, you could just link these off for the update Jammer, and then go boom boom, access code, and there you go. But here, even without link decoder, we still have enough materials to go, like, you know, link these two for transcode bring back splash rage, and then boom, 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 terahertz. I don't think I would do that here. Well, I was gonna say because I opened multiplication, but I could actually do that here. Terahertz dump off any monster, go up to 5k, battle over Takatomborg, that's 4,400 damage. Well, not any monster, we'd have to mill the Gendamore, right? That'll boost Terahertz up to 5k, and then we battle over here for 4,400, and then Gendamore would double that to 8,800, yep. But here I was like, whatever, I'll just go into Almbertian. Because I kind of wanted to see if they had a hand trap. I just wanted to see if I could force it here. But instead I forced to concede. So I was like, okay, I guess that works too. But, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, like the nuance of playing through and with hand traps and stuff. But again, I think that game is just another demonstration of what I've been saying this whole time of like Final Sigma is so out of the way to go for it. And you just don't need it. It's so easy to OTK already that you really just do not need it. And you know, in the past I've entertained the notion of Final Sigma, and then like I said, when I saw Gendamore come out, you know, I was like, okay, this has to be it, right? Like this has to make Final Sigma worth playing in MATHMECH, and it just doesn't. It just does not. Unfortunately. So, or I guess if you really want to play Final Sigma, you still can, but like I don't think it's worth it. I don't think any optimized MATHMECH build should be on Final Sigma. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks y'all for watching. Let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's again free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.